If you're an author or plan to be one, get excited because this podcast is for you. Book Marketing Mentors is the only podcast dedicated to helping you successfully market and sell your book. If you're ready for empowering conversations with successful marketing mavens, then grab a coffee or tea and listen in to your host, international best-selling author Susan Friedman.
Listeners, I'm excited to share some good news. Podcast Connections is our brand new episode sponsor. If you feel your book deserves more reach but visibility hasn't come easily, podcast guesting can open the right doors. The team at Podcast Connections gets you in front of the audiences who need your message and your expertise. If podcast guesting is something you're interested in, please contact them at podcastconnections.co and tell them you heard about them on the Book Marketing Mentors podcast. And now, let's get on with the show. Welcome to Book Marketing Mentors, the weekly podcast where you learn proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips from the masters. Every week, I introduce you to a marketing master who will share their expertise to help you market and sell more books. Today, my special guest is Kelly Lutman. Kelly is a certified health coach who uses functional medicine principles to help people put chronic disease into remission. She believes food is far more than fuel. It's information that gives the body the building blocks it needs to heal, repair, and thrive. Instead of prescribing another fad diet, Kelly helps people transform their relationship with food in ways that are practical, sustainable, and life-changing. She's the author of Thriving Through Cancer, a holistic approach to your journey, and a good friend. So, Kelly, welcome to the show, and thank you for being this week's guest expert and mentor.
Thank you. It's always a delight to have conversations with you, Susan, and I appreciate you welcoming me into this opportunity to talk.
It's so much fun, and it's a little different from the norm, but I think my listeners are used to me once in a while going, and taking a different approach to writing and marketing their book. And as you know, being an author yourself, we spend many hours sitting at our computer, whether we're writing, doing research, whatever it is. But what are some of the biggest health mistakes that you see when we are writing or just being in front of the computer that sort of quietly undermine our energy and focus?
I think forgetting that our bodies need maintenance just like our laptops and computers and equipment needs maintenance. And one of the big things is we can go down a rabbit hole in our research and such and spend a lot of time sitting without movement, and movement keeps our bodies refreshed. So even picking up and walking around in the backyard or going up and down a flight of stairs is beneficial every hour or so, to just set a reminder on your phone to pop up and say, hey, if you've got a watch, a lot of times your smartwatches are going to say you haven't moved in a while. But then the other thing is water. We do not appreciate how important water is for the body's function. We are 65% water in our bodies, and water is essential for all the organs as well as our brains to function properly. And a lot of people don't realize water is hydration, not the coffee, not the sodas, not the other flavored things we tend to drink more often. We're not getting the hydration that our bodies need if we're not drinking water.
I tell my husband that all the time. I'm constantly having to fill his water bottle to remind him to drink it, and myself as well. I've got one right here by my side, knowing that as a reminder, just to sip at it every once in a while. And especially now, I mean, it's summertime, it's hot, and we need that hydration even more than ever. Now, something that you say, Kelly, is that food is information. So how does what we eat affect our, let's say, creativity, our mental clarity, and our ability to do the best work that we can do. Again, whether we're writing, we're marketing, whatever we're doing.
Well, food being information it's information for our body. It's also building blocks that are nutrients, fats, carbohydrates, protein, all the macronutrients our bodies need to function. And let's face it, all the efforts we're making in writing, in marketing our books, in continuing the process and the journey of that is dependent on our bodies functioning well. And so thinking in terms of eating the colors of the rainbow, all those different colors we see in the produce department are representative of different nutrients that are needed by our bodies. If you really look at when you're putting your meals together, trying to keep a variety of color on your plate, and I don't mean through condiments, ketchup and mustard are not necessarily nutritious color, but putting color on our plates can really provide the information our bodies need.
Yeah, I love that. And, as I told you before, because it's summertime now, we're eating a lot of salad, and I love putting together all the different opportunities, the vegetables that you can put into salad. And I sit down and I say to my husband, Kelly would be so proud of us when she sees this. It just looks like the colors of the rainbow.
It does. And it's visually appealing, because your body is drawn to those colors, knowing what the nutrients would be if you were eating those colors. So it can benefit in so many ways, just feeling refreshing visually, but also nourishing your body.
Yeah. I think it's harder sometimes in the wintertime. I know for me, it tends to be a little blander, the look. So I really have to work harder to make it more colorful. I know that authors and people like ourselves, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, are notorious for saying, I'll take care of myself after I finish this book, after I finish this project. Why is that a dangerous mindset?
In the same way that if you are working on your book on a laptop and you didn't update the operating system for that laptop, suddenly things are going to go slower and it's not going to function in the same way. Your body is like a vital machine for your business. You need the connection between brain and fingers and mind and creativity to keep things moving. So maintaining this body is vital for continuing and succeeding in your business.
And if our listeners wanted to make sort of one change, let's say this week, to improve their health and even their productivity, what would you recommend?
That's where I always start with water, because we are notoriously dehydrated and we may drink a lot of liquids. But as I said before, if you're adding a lot of things into your liquid, it's not hydrating for your body. The more it has sugars and sweeteners and things like that, it's going to dehydrate instead of hydrate your body. So I recommend to my clients, assess how much you drink, and you should be aiming for half your body weight in ounces of water a day. But if you've only been drinking 12 ounces of water, you're not going to suddenly jump to 70 ounces. You're going to do one glass at a time. Trade out one of the drinks you would otherwise have for a glass of water. And then once you get comfortable with that, add another.
Yeah, I always have this conversation with my husband. It's like, okay, because he's a big coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee, but he does. And of course, he's telling me, oh, I keep reading things that say coffee's so good for you. And I'm like, okay, I can't argue with that. So what are let's say, the benefits, or maybe the opposite, the mistakes that people are making with things like coffee or other juices, natural juices?
Well, the trouble with natural juices is it has had all the fiber removed from it. So you're essentially getting a flavored sugar water. And that sugar is fructose that has to be processed through your liver. So it's slowing the process of all the liver does. I really do not recommend fruit juice at all. That's where I say eat the fruit whole with its normal fiber intact. If you want to juice something, juice your vegetables, or drink your water and infuse it with fruit slices and vegetables and herbs to make it flavorful. As far as coffee goes, I don't mind coffee, but I doctor it, the flavor. I'm not a black coffee drinker. And so because of all the things I want to doctor it with, I choose not to drink coffee because I don't need all those extra things in my coffee. But it's an individual thing. I do believe a lot of coffee dehydrates, and individuals can have genetic tendencies toward processing caffeine quickly or not. So if you're one that you can't drink coffee after 2 o'clock or so in the day and still sleep that night, then you don't process caffeine as effectively as some do. But it shouldn't be what carries you through the day.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people who said they can't do anything before they've had their morning coffee. And I'm like,
yeah, that's a signal to me.
Yes, it's like there's something wrong with that picture, definitely. I know that you would say you don't believe that diets work, but what's a better way for us as busy solopreneurs to think about our food that can actually lead to some lasting change?
Diets don't work is the opening line for my first book, which was From Diet to Edit, Discovering Freedom in a New Approach to Food. In that book, I say that the problem with diets is they don't teach you a new way to eat. They just restrict you for a period of time. And then you tend to bounce back to what you missed while you were on the diet, right? I teach edits. If you actually picture diet on the refrigerator in magnetic letters and take the E out of it and put it at the front, you get edit. And to me, it's so much easier to maintain and be consistent with edits in the approach to food rather than a diet. Diet seems restricting and boring, but edits, you can edit the drinks, the beverages you're drinking by choosing more water. You can edit the colors you're eating by choosing a variety and the colors of the rainbow. You can edit the speed at which you eat. Instead of inhaling it, you slow down and chew more, which helps your digestion and helps your body absorb the nutrients better. I teach 12 edits in that book, and that to me is a more sustainable way to change the way you eat.
Can you give us a couple of those edits? I love that, by the way. Just moving a letter one space changes the whole word completely.
The whole meaning, exactly. The whole meaning.
Yes.
So I mentioned editing your beverages and drinking more water. The speed at which you eat is chewing more and slowing down because we have a tendency to rush through meals and think we got to get to the next thing. But the slower where you eat your food and really chewing is the only thing you can control in digestion. And so chew it really well and then swallow. That helps your body digest better. Another one is to edit the portions on your plate. You go into a steakhouse and the steak fills the whole plate so that we have to have side dishes for any vegetables you get along with it. But really, the protein that you're consuming with a meal should be the size of the palm of your hand. That maybe is a quarter of the plate and half the plate in vegetables. So you're getting a lot of fiber, which feeds the microbiome in your gut and helps your brain function better. And then you could have some carbs on the other quarter of the plate. I have a diagram that shows you how you can position your meals and balance it better for nutrient benefit.
Portions are just so big. I remember, it's one of the things that when I came over to this country, that I noticed that the size of a portion is
way too much.
Far too much. And what I also heard from another nutritionist that how the plate sizes have grown over the years.
Totally. Yeah. If you go into an antique shop, the dinner plates are much smaller. They're what we would call a lunch size plate now. The bigger the plate, the more likely you are to fill the plate. And you don't need to eat that much to be satisfied in a meal when you're eating slowly.
Yeah. I think that's hard too, because we're in such a rushed environment, a rushed society. And it's disturbing when, you're sitting down at a meal with friends and there's somebody who's just like finished before you're halfway through your meal.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my goodness, What happened? They like inhale the food.
I had kids that seemed to inhale their meals too. And I think a lot of the speed we've built up in eating is not only feeling rushed to get to the next thing, but so much ultra processed food that doesn't have a lot of fiber, and therefore it doesn't take much chewing to be comfortable swallowing. But that's not really nourishing food. You talked about your summer salads. When you sit and eat a salad, it takes longer because you're chewing more because of the raw vegetables that you have in that salad. Shifting to more of a whole food, real food, like it grew on the plants type of meal is going to slow you down because you need to chew it more, but that's beneficial in multiple ways.
Yeah, I've noticed that, yeah, you can't rush a salad. I mean,
No.
you really can't. So you really are chewing for quite a while. But then I realized, I was like, okay, this is doing me good. That's
It is.
down and really, as you say, mushing it all up in your mouth before you actually swallow it. How about getting more energy and being able to think more clearly? What advice would you give us?
For during the day, I recommend movement. We'd already mentioned that, not sitting long term without moving around. Just a simple refresh to walk up the stairs or go refill your water glass or moving around your home or office, but also getting some time outside. We are so accustomed to staying in our temperature controlled homes or offices, and we don't get outside. I live down outside of New Orleans where it's extremely hot outside. We don't connect with daylight and outside and nature as much as we originally did in our bodies. And so having that brief walk outside can be very refreshing, but then also making sure you're sleeping well at night. I've had the clients that said, I'll sleep when I die. That may come sooner than you think if you don't sleep well now. It's vital for your body refreshing and cleaning house while you are sleeping. We think nothing's being done, but our bodies are extremely busy resetting for the next day, and we need to have good sleep.
Yeah, it's something that sometimes it's more challenging than other times, especially we've got so much on our minds. What are maybe some techniques to stop that monkey brain that's in overdrive before we go to sleep?
One of my recommendations is stop the scroll before, not have your phone with you in your bedroom so that you aren't scrolling on it before you turn the lights off or picking it up first thing in the morning when you wake up. So you're avoiding the blue light exposure from your phone, from your laptop, et cetera, in the last hour or so before you go to sleep. We're authors. Read a real book. Read a book without a screen, with dimmer light, just to calm the body. And it takes a bit. It's not going to happen the first night you try it. But as you begin to make a practice of getting ready for bed, dimming the lights, reading something calming, not finishing watching the news just before you go to sleep, that's very disrupting and stressful. And helping your body just recognize that this is the time that we calm down and we relax and allow the progression of melatonin to rise and cortisol to go down so that you can sleep very well. It's a practice.
How about sort of avoiding maybe eating late at night? Like, I can't eat late at night, but yet I know people who'll pull out a tub of ice cream.
I usually recommend to my clients that they not eat within 3 hours of going to bed. The one caveat I have to that is I've had some clients that if they eat an earlier dinner, they find themselves waking up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I had one client that would wake up with hot flashes, and she had been menopausal for many years, and she couldn't understand the hot flash. But what we determined was her blood sugar was dropping, and her body was waking her up with an adrenaline hit to protect her from going into a blood sugar coma. For her, we found that having a small spoonful of nut butter before she went to bed gave her enough to carry her through the night, and she no longer had those hot flashes. That could be another one little bit that you have before you go to bed, but otherwise you're trying to let your body finish the major digestion before you're laying down to sleep.
How about like a glass of milk or even a little bit of hot chocolate? What are your thoughts on that?
Could be, unless blood sugar is a challenge for you. If you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, then milk or hot chocolate can raise your blood sugar. I find a cup of hot tea, and I know, Susan, you would be the same. A cup of hot tea is very relaxing for me in the evening, and then I can go to bed from there.
Yeah, sometimes, a cup of, sleepy time with
chamomile. Yeah. You don't want a high caffeine tea. So you'd want something that's calmer herbal tea that's not caffeinated to have in the evening so that it's not giving you extra caffeine that will compete with the melatonin you need to make you sleepy.
What about waking up in the middle of the night, as you said, and having problem going back to sleep? What are some thoughts there?
With those, when I'm working through sleep challenges with my clients, I'm evaluating what time is it you're waking up. Sometimes waking up between 2 and 3 and just feeling kind of revved inside is your liver processing things, but struggling because it's a little bit congested. And so we work on helping to clean the liver a little bit, and that can help improve sleep along the way. I find often that clients that will journal or just kind of do a brain dump onto paper in that hour before they go to sleep helps to take thoughts that would ruminate out and put it on paper so they can release them and not be processing in the middle of the night as much. And so that's another option. And sometimes it seems to be low melatonin. And so we can do a extended release melatonin that they can take in the evening, and it will help to carry them through the night. So it's an individual need that has to be assessed, but that's something that I look at a lot.
Yeah, I remember being told, go to sleep with a pad of paper and pencil by your nightstand.
Mm-hmm.
And if something comes into your mind, which often does, I'm lying there relaxing, all of a sudden, I don't want to forget that in the morning. And so instead of trying to tell my brain, don't forget it, I write it down, and then I can sort of like emptying it out. And then I don't have to worry about it because I'll see it in the morning. And that'll remind me, oh, yes, don't want to forget to do that.
That's valuable. Yes.
It was a great tip. This is a wonderful opportunity now to segue into you telling our listeners how they can find out more about you, Kelly, and the incredible work that you do.
Thank you. I work with people who often have chronic disease or frustrating symptoms that their doctor will say everything looks normal or you're fine when you don't really feel fine. Often people will come to me and we'll talk about what their experience is, what's going on, and whether I can help coach them through to identify what those symptoms are saying from your body. They're messages from the body of what it's needing. And I help to translate and educate you on what's going on and how we can resolve those for your body. I also work with cancer patients, hence the Thriving Through Cancer book. But I work with patients to help them support the rest of their body through the cancer treatment journey and beyond, because often they have a medical team that's totally focused on eradicating the cancer, but they don't get a lot of support for the rest of the body, which also gets exposed to the treatment. Having a coach to guide you in nutritional support and ways to work through the different stages of cancer treatment can really make a difference in the outcome of your journey.
Give us a website and remind us the name of your book. And of course, I'll put all of that in the show notes.
Awesome. So my website is Pursue Wellness for You, all spelled out in words. The book is Thriving Through Cancer, a holistic approach for your journey. And it's available through my website or on Amazon also. Through my website, they can read, I've been blogging for 10 years now. They can read a lot of blog posts. They can also reach out and schedule a call with me to just talk about what they're experiencing and how I might be able to help them.
And that's a complimentary call, correct?
Yes.
That's great. Yeah, and you mentioned something. Unfortunately, our great doctors are not necessarily trained in nutrition. So
Yeah.
that isn't often part of their practice. And even my internist admits, she said, I don't know nutrition.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to have you, let's say, as a partner alongside of that. And you're extraordinarily knowledgeable when it comes to the medical side as well. So, yes, listeners, if there's anything that you'd love to discuss with Kelly, get hold of her. I'll put the information in the chat. I think this is a subject that affects everybody. Yes, and even if it's not for them, maybe it's for a loved one, family member that could be helpful. And as you know, Kelly, we always have our guests leave our listeners with a golden nugget. What's yours?
My top nugget is that water thing. I've talked about it several times already, but if you change just one thing as a result of hearing this call, please add water, more water to your daily habits. If you don't like the taste, you can get a filtering pitcher that will take a lot of the chemicals and minerals out that change the tasting of it. But drinking water is so important for health.
Yes, I know that, but I love hearing it from you because it just reinforces that I need to drink more water. Funnily enough, as much as I seem to drink, I often get told, you're dehydrated. I was like, how can I be dehydrated? I'm drinking so much water.
You may need to add electrolytes to one of those glasses of water to make sure that that water is getting into your cells, especially in the summertime. That can be an issue.
And I'm doing that, and that's very helpful. And of course, it adds a little bit of nice taste to the water as well. So this is wonderful. Oh, so much information, listeners. You're going to have to listen to this several times more. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Kelly. And listeners, if your book isn't selling the way you wanted or expected to, let's you and I jump on a quick call together to brainstorm ways to ramp up those sales, because you've invested a whole lot of time, money, and energy, and it's time you got the return you were hoping for. So go to bookmarketingbrainstorm.com to schedule your free call. In the meantime, I hope this powerful interview sparks some ideas you can use to sell more books. Until next week, here's wishing you much book and author marketing success.